The first thing we're going to do on the program, all the lights are going to be turned off, so I don't want anybody to trip. We have a fantastic video presentation to show you. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that right now.
I have a special love for the regional students because so many of them work. 99% of our students work full-time and go to college. And I think I can identify with them very well from my own experiences. Intercultural communication is the study of communication between cultures. And our students here on the regional campus, we don't have as much diversity, but when they go into the work world, of course, it's going to be a very diverse world. So they can utilize it in the business world. And today's students really have to see themselves as a citizen of the world. So my students here in Lancaster, Ohio, are collaborating on a project with students at the University of Chihuahua in Mexico. So it's a very good opportunity for them to meet other people, to work with other people from another culture, and to not only study the theory of cross-cultural communication, but to actually practice it. My teaching style is I believe that I also am a student and I learn from my students. So I try to make it more a collaboration, although I do my fair share of lecturing, but I also have, in women's studies, we have activist projects. And in communication, we have events that they do or things that they actually engage in. So I really see it as more of a participatory learning style rather than I'm not pouring information into their brain. They are learning with me and I learn from them at the same time. WITS is Women in Technology and Science, and this is a STEM project where women in our culture do not go into the science, technology, engineering, and math to the same degrees that men do. When girls are young, they do study science and math and they do well in those subjects. But as they get older, they lose interest in the careers. And part of that, we believe, is because they don't see women doing those positions. So WITS is a day where we bring young girls from all over the area and we have them interact with science professionals. So we have, all day long, we have hands-on science-related sessions. And I know the value of it. I see it changes girls' lives. I meet so many girls and they say, I do WITS. I went to WITS. So if I mention WITS, a lot of girls in our area, they have been here for WITS and it really made an impact in their lives. They see women who do veterinarian and they can realize I can do that. So that's the significance of WITS, and it's really something I'm very passionate about, even though I'm not a science professor, which is, people say, oh, you're not a STEM professor. I'm not, but I'm a women and gender sexuality teacher, and I think it's vitally important for girls to believe they have all the opportunities. So even if they don't utilize it, they don't immediately go into a science career, they see women in empowered positions. We want them to be empowered in their lives to make decisions that will affect them and their families and our community. So if we have strong women in our community, we have a strong community. This is an amazing place to work. So when people talk about how I teach and what I teach with an amazing group of people, and I learn every day from them, and I'm inspired by the regional campus faculty.
I'm so glad to say that Dr. Kaler is here tonight, and she didn't know this, but I'm going to ask her if she'd stand so that we can recognize her once more. Good evening. I hope you enjoyed that video, just giving a glimpse of what we know happens every day at Ohio University. The profiles and faculty achievement videos are just a section of one of the things that university communications and marketing staff is trying to do to lift up and highlight all that's good and all that's excellent about Ohio University. Recently, we've begun to highlight a few of our faculty members weekly that are in the news in what we call faculty high fives. And we share it with them, their dean, the provost, and the president. And you can also follow us on Twitter, if you will, at Ohio Renee M. By showcasing the achievements of our faculty, we're really lifting up the academic excellence that's here at Ohio University. It gives me great pleasure to welcome all of you to our third annual Faculty Newsmakers Gala. What's particularly exciting to me about tonight is not only that it's our third year, but this is actually the biggest class of newsmakers we've had yet. There were 381 Ohio faculty newsmakers who made news in 2016. That's twice as many as we had last year. The number of newsmakers is actually representing 13% of all of Ohio's news. 10 academic units were featured in news, including our Center for International Studies. We're honoring 59 faculty members from all 5 of our regional campuses, and I think that's worthy of applause, don't you? I'm so pleased that so many of you could join us for this special opportunity, and I hope you had a chance to grab a bite to eat, to meet with colleagues, to talk with the president and his wife Ruthie, who's here tonight, and also to enjoy the ambiance that was created with the jazz ensemble. Can we give them a hand? It is so gratifying to just look around the room at all of you all. You look great. And I must tell you that I believe that great things happen when great minds get together. And I believe that our goal tonight in recognizing what is one of our greatest assets, our faculty newsmakers, is going to make you applaud more than once. You're just getting warmed up. I'm wondering, because I think there were a couple people that said to me, I'm not quite sure why I'm here tonight. So is there anyone here who was wondering just what is an Ohio faculty newsmaker? Well, I have an answer for you. I did see a hand. The individuals we celebrate tonight, we call them faculty newsmakers. They are employees, regardless of their title or classification, that teaches at Ohio University and is featured in news reports that we gather with our third-party aggregator called Cision. It looks at all of the news that comes from all over the world for Ohio University. And the individuals that we celebrate tonight are tenured and non-tenured faculty and administrators who serve as educators in our classrooms. If you are one of 2016's Ohio Newsmakers, you received a certificate at check-in to recognize your contribution in promoting Ohio. I'm going to ask at this point, would all the faculty newsmakers, now that you know who you are, please stand. Every mention of an Ohio expert in the news has a direct impact on enhancing our reputation. Our celebration this evening is our way of saying thanks to you and to all of those who work in making this happen, because we know that sometimes it does take a village. As I look around the room at all of our newsmakers, I really am in awe of the excellence that is at Ohio University. Several of our newsmakers will receive an extra moment in the spotlight tonight because they're among those who've achieved the top 10 news placements. Yes, there will be a countdown. We'll also call to stage those newsmakers who were quoted in the top stories of 2016 as listed by the Associated Press. Tonight's event is being live streamed, and members of UCM staff will be live tweeting this night's event. You can follow along at OhioU. We'll be using the hashtag Ohio Newsmakers. Feel free to retweet. This is an opportunity for you to use your phones. It's not a classroom. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge and invite Ohio University's 21st president, Dr. Dwayne Nellis.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's truly a pleasure to be with all of you, and congratulations to all of our newsmakers. We are just so pleased to recognize you tonight as I find my place in my notes here. You know, tonight we gather to celebrate all of you, whether you're a scientist, an explorer, whatever research you do, the creative activities that you're involved with. Your work and how you reflect that in the classroom, as well as through your publications, through your creativity, really help us thrive as an institution. This is a place where innovation is encouraged and your hard work is celebrated. A place that continues to rise in the national rankings while staying true to its mission, the intellectual and personal development of our students. And we care deeply about the transformational learning that we provide to our students. Now, Ruthie and I have been here in Athens at an Ohio University for a little over 4 months, and it didn't take us long for us to realize the caliber of our faculty that we are so fortunate to have here at Ohio University. And I've said many times in various forums as I've talked to external audiences, alumni. When I was in Washington, D.C., I gave a presentation at the National Press Club that we have faculty here that could be anywhere but have chosen to be at Ohio University and continue every day to bring distinction to this university. So being recognized in the media for your contributions to our community, our nation, and our world is further proof that you are truly change makers. Now, it's my understanding that in 2016, the Ohio faculty that were featured in the news reports in all 50 states, as well as the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. island territory of Guam. News reports in which Ohio faculty were featured span the globe as well, covering 6 of the 7 continents. I'm sorry, Antarctica is the only one. Maybe next year we can focus on that. I look forward to seeing what the future holds. You are people that are driving discovery and creativity in so many ways. It excites me every day. The passion I have for what you're doing, it truly drives me every day. And the fact that you're sharing that with our students as well energizes me. And so I look with anticipation at what new discovery will revolutionize the way we think or the way we live. I look forward to hearing that a student chose Ohio University because of a story they read online that showcased a faculty member who is changing the world. And again, these are students who often are influenced by their parents who may have read a story about the work that you're doing. And so I appreciate all that you do in that context. You continue to inspire others to achieve greatness, to dream bigger, and with each interview or article that gets published, with each story that bears your name, we can proudly say that we are at Ohio University. And now it's my pleasure to welcome to the stage someone who continues to provide invaluable service to Ohio University. It seems like every day I'm discovering a new job that he's had during his illustrious career at Ohio University. He's been a tremendous asset to me personally and is now serving as our interim executive vice president and provost. Let's welcome Dr. David Duskutner.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nellis. What do you think? Would you like these narrow ties? I like these things. I can't get with these narrow ties. They don't seem to work on me. I want to deviate from the script for just a minute, because you knew I would. I want to just take a second and thank Renee Morris and her whole team. Not just what you always have been doing for this university, to create visibility for this university, to help us recruit students and help us recruit faculty, but for your belief in this university and the great colleagues that you always are. And an example of that is beginning tonight with the regional campuses. The regional campuses are so important to the history of this university and for the mission of this university. It meant so much to me that you featured them. It meant so much to all of us that you featured the regional campuses. And personally, you featured Dr. Kaler. And Dr. Kaler and I worked together on Dr. Kaler's dissertation. And it meant so much to me to see Dr. Kaler featured for the work that you've been doing for our students, for the School of Communication Studies, but for the university for years and years and years. It was really special. So thank you, Renee, and thank you, Dr. Kaler. It's a real pleasure to be here tonight to celebrate the 3rd annual Ohio Faculty Newsmaker Gala. At Ohio University, we have many opportunities and awards that recognize academic achievements of our faculty and students. The Faculty Newsmaker Gala, however, marks a time for us to come together as a community, as an intellectual community, to honor faculty who are committed to promoting the university's excellence by engaging with the media throughout our country and indeed around the world. The selfless efforts that you put forth inside and outside the classroom have created so many opportunities for our students and your fellow colleagues and for Ohio University, because you draw attention to the expertise of all of the faculty here. You're all well known in your fields, but what you do by acting as ambassadors for this university is really identify us as a special university, a university of genuine distinction. So you serve our community as educators, scholars, mentors, researchers. Indeed, Dr. Kaler exemplifies that, and so do all the faculty in this room. But today, again, we're honoring you as ambassadors of the university, and we're thank you tonight for our efforts to raise the national and global profile of Ohio University. Now, some faculty are featured in news reports related to their own individual achievements. Dr. Tadeusz Malinsky, the Marvin and Ann Daly White Chair and Distinguished Professor of Chemistry and Biochemistry, received the International Academy of Cardiology's 2016 Albrecht Fleckenstein Memorial Award for distinguished work in the field of basic research. Martha Evans, an assistant professor of education at the Southern Campus, was awarded West Virginia's American Legion College Professor of the Year Award. And Dr. Christine Bott, a professor of counseling and higher education at the Patton College, was awarded the Athens Hocking Vinton Alcohol, Drug Addiction, and Mental Health Services 317 Board Substance Abuse Prevention Award for her help in developing an opioid treatment and clinical training program. What I'd like to do is to please, let's recognize Dr. Malinsky, Dr. Evans, and Dr. Bott. Some faculty newsmakers are also featured in news reports related to their taking their talents on the road. For example, several College of Fine Arts newsmakers were featured in news outlets throughout the country for their performances that they delivered in communities outside of Athens. Many of our newsmakers were featured in articles that previewed or covered conferences and forums at which they are presenting or sitting on panels. And many of this year's newsmakers are faculty who were quoted in one or more articles in our own esteemed Post, a really genuinely excellent student newspaper. So they're not only sharing their knowledge and expertise with the public, but they're also helping to educate Ohio University's aspiring journalists through experiential learning. Now, before I begin the presentation of the awards, I'd like to invite Renee Morris to come to the stage to tell us about the awards themselves. Renee?
Thank you, David. I'm really excited to tell you about the awards that will be given to some of our Ohio newsmakers tonight. The faculty newsmakers in the top 10 categories in terms of news placements and quotes in AP's Top 10 Stories of 2016 will receive a Keystroke Catalyst Award, or KCA. The KCAs are fashioned as typewriters because we believe that typewriters are timeless. Though they've given way to today's smaller, lighter, and dare I say quieter devices, they remind us of how the wisdom of a single person can be dispersed to enrich lives and expand the horizons of others across the region or even around the world. It is the symbolism of the awards that we're given to our newsmakers that make a difference at Ohio through research, through teaching, and through stories that motivate a million keystrokes to demonstrate why Ohio deserves a place as one of the best universities in the world. At this time, it is my pleasure to ask Dr. Discutner and Dr. Nellis to join me as we present tonight's awards.
We're going to begin tonight's presentation of the awards by recognizing the 18 faculty members who were quoted in media reports related to the Associated Press's top 10 stories of 2016. It is amazing to know that when big news stories break, media outlets throughout the world turn to our faculty to allow them to share their knowledge and expertise to their storytelling, all in an effort to comprehensively educate their readers, viewers, and listeners on topics that shape our cultural dialogue and form our collective history. The first KCA of the night goes to Dr. Ziad Abu Rish. An assistant professor. Hey, do I get up? Yeah, you come on up. Congratulations. An assistant professor of history in the College of Arts and Sciences, Dr. Abu Rish's areas of expertise include modern Middle East history, state building and economic development, as well as U.S. policy in the Middle East. Among the Associated Press's top 10 stories of 2016 is the ongoing civil war in Syria, a conflict that began more than 6 years ago as a peaceful uprising and has left hundreds of thousands dead and an estimated 5 million Syrian refugees. Among his several media placements in 2016, Dr. Abu Rish was featured in a February 11, 2016 article in the Post covering a women's center brown bag lunch on the challenges that Syrian refugee women face. The event and Dr. Abu Rish's insights provided those in attendance with the historical background of the conflict, as well as an opportunity to discuss what he described as one of the greatest refugees crises since World War II. I also know Dr. Abu Rish as a devotee of the Union Bar and Grill. So please join me in congratulating Dr. Ziad Abu Rish. The next KCA is presented to Dr. Kimberly Rios. Unfortunately, Dr. Rios could not be here tonight. An associate professor of psychology and director of experimental training in the College of Arts and Sciences, Dr. Rios' research focuses on people's responses to threats to their self-concepts, interpersonal relationships, or group identities. Among the areas that she studies is how perceptions of threat, particularly dominant group members' perceptions of threat from subordinate groups, affects attitudes towards specific outgroups and diversity in general. Dr. Rios' expertise was sought by the media in July 2016 when the country's debate over policing practices and the Black Lives Matter movement was rekindled by back-to-back incidents. Alton Sterling was shot several times at close range on July 5, 2016, while being held down by 2 Louisiana police officers. The next day, Philando Castile was fatally shot by a Minnesota police officer following a traffic stop, an incident that was live-streamed on Facebook by Castile's girlfriend, who was in the vehicle with her 4-year-old daughter. Dr. Rios' insight into these incidents and their potential to influence racial bias was featured in a July 12 New York Times article that was picked up by other publications, including several in Australia. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Rios. Coming in as number 5 on the Associated Press's list of top 10 stories of 2016 are terror attacks that span the globe, from attacks at airports in Brussels and Istanbul to the Bastille Day attack in Nice, France. Two of tonight's faculty newsmakers are receiving their second consecutive KCA for being featured in media reports related to worldwide terrorism. Will Jennifer Fredette please join us on stage? An assistant professor. Congratulations. It's good to see you. An assistant professor of political science in the College of Arts and Sciences, Dr. Fredette's areas of research include constitutional law, comparative law, and socio-legal studies. In 2014, Dr. Fredette published her first book, which explores the disconnection between how Muslims and French elites discuss citizenship, identity, and belonging. Drawing on her research, her book, and the years she spent living and studying in France, Dr. Fredette penned an article for the Washington Post that was published on July 24, 2016, just 10 days after the Bastille attack. In the article, she explores why Nice, France, has become what some have deemed a breeding ground for terrorists. Once again, please join me in congratulating Dr. Jennifer Fredette. The next KCA goes to Dr. Brandon Kendhammer, who was also featured in media reports related to global terrorism, an associate professor of political science in the College of Arts and Sciences and director of the International Development Studies program at our Center for International Studies. Dr. Kendhammer researches and teaches about religious and ethnic politics in West Africa. Thanks, Dave. Good to see you. As well as Nigeria. It just so happens I seem to know them, and it's really sweet to see them up here on stage. Journalists throughout the world, as well as several government agencies, seek Dr. Kendhammer's insight into Nigerian politics as that country grapples with the rise of Boko Haram and other terrorist groups in West Africa. In fact, Dr. Kendhammer was unable to attend last year's Faculty Newsmakers Gala because he was at the U.S.-Africa Joint Military Command in Germany to provide a briefing for U.S. defense and intelligence personnel. In 2016, Dr. Kendhammer was featured in media outlets both in the United States and abroad, including the BBC and International Business Times, where he commented on terrorist attacks in West Africa and the United States' efforts to contain jihadism in that region. Once again, please join me in congratulating Dr. Brandon Kendhammer. The next KCA is presented to Delphine Batista, who unfortunately is unable to join us this evening. Let's give it up for Delphine. Delphine has sent two student leaders, Press Seymour and Joseph Metcalf, to accept on his behalf. Would you please come forward? Most of you likely know Delphine as the director of our LGBT Center. What you may not know is that Delphine also teaches in the College of Arts and Sciences, Women's, Gender, and Sexuality Studies program as well. Doctor, listen to me. Delphine's areas of expertise include LGBT advocacy and programming, as well as safe zone training. Media outlets here in Athens, throughout Ohio, and around the world often seek out Delphine's expertise when it comes to pressing issues and in response to breaking news concerning the LGBT community. When the deadliest incident of violence against LGBT individuals in U.S. history occurred on June 12, 2016 at the Pulse Club in Orlando, Florida, Delphine served as both a voice and an advocate for the LGBT community, proclaiming in a news report on Columbus WCHMS-TV, "We will not live in fear." Delphine's advocacy even included a special appearance as Rufus in Columbus's Pride Parade just a few days after the tragedy. Delphine's comments and his actions were featured in several Ohio publications, including some of the state's largest metropolitan newspapers. Once again, please join me in congratulating Delphine Batista. The next KCA award goes to Dr. Thomas Hodson, who is unable to be here tonight. Dr. Hodson's colleague, Dr. Robert Stewart, will accept the award on his behalf. Dr. Stewart? Director of the WOB Center for Public Media and the Joe Berman Professor of Communication in the Scripps College of Communication, Dr. Hodson has led dual careers in law and journalism, a former visiting judge with the Ohio Supreme Court and a former judicial fellow at the United States Supreme Court in the Administrative Office of the Chief Justice. Dr. Hodson's areas of expertise include journalism, judicial systems, and the U.S. Supreme Court. When U.S. Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia died suddenly in February 2016, President Obama unexpectedly found himself in a position to replace a longtime conservative on the nation's highest court. When the president nominated Merrick Garland to Justice Scalia's seat, the media turned to Dr. Hodson for his insight into the strategy behind President Obama's selection. An article titled "An Ohio Perspective on Obama's SCOTUS Nominee" and featuring Dr. Hodson was picked up by several Ohio publications. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Thomas Hodson. In addition to being featured in news reports related to the Supreme Court situation that made headlines in 2016, Dr. Hodson could also have been honored tonight, alongside many of his colleagues, for being featured in articles related to the Associated Press's top news stories of 2016. Any guesses as to what made the top of AP's list last year? I can't guess myself. I'm sure none of us are surprised that the campaign and the subsequent election of our nation's 45th president was determined by the Associated Press's annual poll of U.S. editors and news directors to overwhelmingly be the top news story of 2016. One of the biggest, if not the biggest, election upset in U.S. history made headlines and continues to make headlines around the globe. At Ohio University, we are fortunate to have amongst our esteemed faculty several educators known for their scholarly expertise on politics and election. Tonight, we have the honor of recognizing 12 of those individuals whose insights into the 2016 presidential election helped to educate both voters here in the United States, as well as those watching from countries throughout the world. The first of these KCA awards goes to Andy Alexander, who could not be here tonight. Give it up for Andy. A Scripps Howard visiting professional in our E.W. Scripps School of Journalism and an executive in residence at the Voinovich School of Leadership and Public Affairs, Andy is an award-winning journalist and news industry leader who, over the course of a 4-decade career, has been a reporter, editor, Washington bureau chief, and ombudsman for the Washington Post. He has reported from more than 50 countries, and his areas of expertise include free speech, freedom of the press, media ethics, and open records. In June 2016, it became clear that Donald Trump would be the Republican nominee for president. The News Literacy Project, a nonpartisan national education nonprofit that works with educators and journalists to teach middle school and high school students how to sort fact from fiction in this digital age, reached out to 4 distinguished journalists and analysts for their assessment of why so many political reporters, columnists, and commentators misjudged Trump's chances. Among those 4 experts was Andy Alexander, whose comments were featured in several media outlets that published the News Literacy Project's article. And you might also note that Andy Alexander was the editor of the Post when he was a student here and grew up in Chillicothe, Ohio. Remarkable guy. Our next key, let's give it up to Andy. Our next KCA goes to Dr. Susan Burgess, who was also unable to join us this evening. A professor of political science in the College of Arts and Sciences, Dr. Burgess's area of research include American politics, law and courts, radical politics, gender and sexuality, and popular culture. When Ohio Governor John Kasich won the Ohio Republican primary election in March of 2016, the Atlantic Monthly reached out to Dr. Burgess for insight into the Ohio counties that Governor Kasich lost. In an article entitled "The Voters Only Trump Can Reach," which was also picked up by Yahoo News, Dr. Burgess discusses why Donald Trump was, quote, the perfect Appalachian candidate. Dr. Burgess also served as a source on politics for Ohio University's esteemed newspaper, The Post. Lending her expertise to an article on how fake news source engagement outnumbered real news during the 2016 election cycle, and an article in reaction to the President-elect Trump's rejecting the presidential salary. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Susan Burgess. The next KCA award hits close to home. Join me in welcoming Dr. Delisa Bernier to join us on stage. A professor of political science in the College of Arts and Sciences, and in the interest of full disclosure, somebody I live with, for 38 years. And I'm getting a little emotional, so I'm going to control myself. Dr. Bernier teaches courses in public administration and American politics. Her areas of research include gender and leadership, teaching pedagogy, interpretive approaches to policy analysis, and political autobiography. In the days leading up to and after the 2016 presidential election, members of the local media turned to Dr. Bernier for insight into why some Ohio University students were supporting independent and third-party candidates, and why some students were opting not to vote in the election, as well as reaction on campus from both students and employees to the election's stunning outcome. Her comments were featured in both the Post and the Athens Messenger, and please join me once again in welcoming Dr. Delisa Bernier. And I'm going to get the congratulating part of this soon. Our next KCA goes to Dr. Michael Burton, who's also a devotee of the Union Bar and Grill, I want to say. Dr. Burton was unable to join us tonight. An associate professor of political science in the College of Arts and Sciences, Dr. Burton teaches courses on elections and campaigns as well as political leadership. His professional accolades include serving as the assistant to the chief of staff for Vice President Al Gore and working in the office of Congressman Paul Kondrasky and for the Congressional Research Service. When Democratic presidential nominee Bernie Sanders unexpectedly beat Hillary Clinton in the Michigan primary, Business Insider turned to Dr. Burton for his insight on whether fellow Midwest states, Ohio and Illinois, would follow suit. Business Insider's March 15th article featuring Dr. Burton and titled "Bernie Sanders May Be in a Position to Pull Off Two More Big Upsets Against Hillary Clinton" was picked up by several other publications, both in the U.S. and overseas. And I might also note that Dr. Michael Burton was the student of Dr. Delisa Bernier. Please join me in congratulating Michael Burton. The next KCA is presented to Dr. Maria Fani, who also was unable to be here tonight. An associate professor of political science and international relations in Ohio University's College of Arts and Sciences, Dr. Fani's research focuses include comparative foreign policy, global security, national identity formation, citizenship and morality in international relations, and the role of everyday practices in the construction of politics. Dr. Fani was quoted in 2 local articles following the 2016 presidential election. In a November 15 article in the Athens Messenger, Dr. Fani shared some of the election-related discussions that were happening inside her classroom, noting the important connection between domestic policy and international relations and the importance of understanding political developments. Dr. Fani, in a December 2nd article in the Post, commented on this possible strategy behind President-elect Trump announcing that he would not accept the presidential salary. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Maria Fani. The next KCA award goes to Dr. Lake Khan. Dr. Khan is an assistant professor in the Scripps College of Communications School of Media Arts and Studies and director of the Social Media Analytics Research Team Lab, also known as the SMART Lab. His expertise is in social media and analytics with a focus on analyzing big data and social media for businesses, health communications, politics, and a range of other areas. The 2016 presidential election has been dubbed by some as, quote, the social media election. In the week following the election, Dr. Khan penned an article entitled "Trump Won Thanks to Social Media" for Hill's website. In the article, Dr. Khan notes how many political analysts were poring over polling and scheduling in an effort to understand President Trump's surprising win, while overlooking the role that social media played in the campaigns. He also shares some of the trends and metrics that scientists at the SMART Lab uncovered in their analyses, showcasing their research being conducted here at Ohio University. Please congratulate Justin and Mace. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Lake Khan. The next KCA is presented to Michael McTeague. I've known Mike for so many years, and this is a person who's just been an absolute stalwart at Ohio University. He's filled so many roles and been such a presence on the regional campuses. I'm real proud to be here tonight with you, Mike. An associate dean who also teaches courses in history, Michael McTeague has served Ohio University's Eastern Campus for more than 50 years.
Thank you, fella. How about that?
I said 50 years, by the way. In the days leading up to the 2016 Ohio primary election, a Steubenville area television station sought Michael McTeague's insights for two news stories. In a March 10th news report for WOTOV, Mr. McTeague discussed the history of polling in the United States and how candidate Trump was using polling to his advantage, touting positive poll numbers in an effort to sway primary voters. In a March 11th news report, Mr. McTeague commented on how Ohio's Republican primary ballot had the potential to confuse voters, as a change on the ballot provided voters two different opportunities to vote for president. Please join me in congratulating my longtime colleague, Michael McTeague. The next KCA goes to Dr. Jerry Miller. A colleague of mine in the Scripps College of Communications School of Communication Studies, Dr. Miller specializes in elections, messaging, political advertising, political campaigns, and debate tactics. He's frequently called upon the media for his expertise in political communication, particularly regarding his research on gender and politics. In the midst of the 2016 Republican National Convention, Newsday published an article titled "GOP Convention Sets Gloom and Doom Tone to Criticize Democrats." Among the experts quoted in the article is Dr. Miller, who addressed the gloom and doom political strategy often used by the party that does not control the White House to create a negative impression of the status quo. In the article, Dr. Miller noted how a strategy of blame combined with providing a legitimate alternative response can be effective in appealing to a broader range of voters. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Jerry Miller. The next Keystroke Catalyst Award is presented to Dr. Sarah Paggioni. Sarah? Sarah is an associate professor of political science in the College of Arts and Sciences. Congratulations. Dr. Paggioni's areas of expertise include law and society, policy analysis, political campaigns, politics, and women in politics. Her research takes a unique look at the American political system and the ways in which gender dynamics play out in political elections. In 2016, Dr. Paggioni was featured in a few articles in the Post, including a November 2nd article focused on how some students were supporting independent and third-party candidates on principle, despite those candidates having low poll numbers. In the article, Dr. Paggioni reflects on how the U.S. political system, and namely the winner-takes-all system that dominates the electoral college, can and often does work against independent and third-party candidates. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Sarah Paggioni. The next KCA goes to Dr. William Rollins, who was unable to join us this evening. A Stocker Professor of Communication Studies in the Scripps College of Communication, Dr. Rollins is an award-winning book author who specializes in interpersonal communication, and more specifically in communication between friends across the course of life. Dr. Rollins was featured in more than 40 media reports in 2016 on television stations, as well as online news sources and newspapers across the country and beyond, also including mentions in Time, NBC News, USA Today, and Business Insider. But it was a September 10th article in the Detroit Free Press that resulted in Dr. Rollins' first Keystroke Catalyst Award. In that article, titled, "Is This Election Costing You Friends?" Dr. Rollins shares with readers, and family members, by the way, Dr. Rollins shares with readers some of the political behavior that he believes sets a, quote, very hostile, polarized, self-righteous context, and is simply not the, as he says, stuff of friendship. Please join me in congratulating Dr. William Rollins. The next KCA award is presented to Dr. Karen Riggs. Dr. Riggs is a professor in the Scripps College of Communication School of Media, Arts, and Studies. Dr. Riggs' areas of expertise include campus activism, cultural studies, the digital divide, fake news, social media, and social networking. She devotes much of her time and knowledge to the study of the introduction of new technologies into society and the resultant effects on communication, and her special focus is on social media. Among Dr. Riggs' 2016 media placements was a March 5th article in the Dayton Daily News entitled "Many Tune Out Politics on Social Media." The article notes how political campaigns need to get creative in finding ways to get their messages out to an increasingly tech-savvy electorate. In the article, Dr. Riggs focuses on Twitter and how valuable that platform can be for candidates who know how to effectively use it, noting one of the candidates in particular among the presidential candidates. Please join me once again in congratulating Dr. Riggs. The next KCA goes to Dr. Robert Stewart. Bob? Dr. Stewart's areas of expertise include broadcast journalism, journalism on the web, international communication, mass media history, media reform, and managing change in journalism education. As a director of the Scripps College of Communications E.W. Scripps School of Journalism, Dr. Stewart studies how journalism is evolving and guides aspiring journalists in how to adapt to the changes occurring in the industry. Among Dr. Stewart's 2016 media placements was a November 26 article in the Pittsburgh Tribune Review titled "Some Lessons from the Election." The article examines the failure of mainstream media news outlets to accurately measure the level of support that candidate Trump was receiving from the electorate. The article's author then turned to Dr. Stewart for his insights on how out-of-touch metropolitan media had become with the middle of the country and the changes that were needed not only in those news organizations but also in the nation's journalism schools. Please join me again in congratulating Dr. Bob Stewart. Let's give all the newsmakers another round of applause, please.
Am I going to ask you? You just let me know.
We are now going to present the Keystroke Catalyst Awards to the faculty newsmakers who had the highest number of media placements in 2016. The faculty newsmakers being honored during this portion of the program were featured in 2,643 of the total 4,065 faculty media placements in 2016. We're going to start with the newsmaker who had the 10th highest number of media placements and work our way down to number one. And let's start with Benjamin Bates. Hey, Ben. Good to see you, man. Good to see you, too. He just got a wet handshake, unfortunately. Dr. Bates is the Barbara Gerald Schoonover Professor of Health Communication in the Scripps College of Communications School of Communication Studies. While his research is focused on communication campaigns in the context of public and environmental health and public understanding of health and healing, Dr. Bates has increasingly become a reliable source for journalists who are seeking expertise on debate tactics and political communication. In 2016, Dr. Bates earned 72 media placements, the 10th highest number of faculty media placements that year. The majority of those media placements were related to the 2016 presidential primary campaigns. Dr. Bates' insights into candidate Trump's first political television ad of the campaign, as well as candidate Trump's nonverbal communication during the primary debates, were featured in online newspapers across the country. In addition, a news report that featured Dr. Bates and focused on the tone of the Republican primary debates was picked up by 24 U.S. television stations from West Palm Beach, Florida, to Fresno, California. Once again, let's congratulate Ben Bates. The next Catalyst Award goes to Dr. Michelle Ferrier. An associate professor in the Scripps College of Communication, E.W. Scripps School of Journalism. Dr. Ferrier. Congratulations. Dr. Ferrier's areas of expertise include digital identity and innovation, media deserts, online community, social media and its strategies and tactics. But she's increasingly known for efforts to combat online harassment of journalists and female writers in particular, and her work in developing Trollbusters, an online tool designed to fight cyber harassment. In 2016, Dr. Ferrier was featured in 85 media reports, the 9th highest number among all faculty media placements that year. News reports on Dr. Ferrier's Trollbusters and other efforts to combat online abuse of women, including a piece by Chicago Tribune columnist and Ohio alumnus Clarence Page, were featured in newspapers across the country and beyond, including the Wall Street Journal, the Las Vegas Sun, and the United Kingdom's newspaper, The Guardian. In addition, Dr. Ferrier was one of 4 faculty members featured at the Poynter Institute's annual Leadership Academy for Women in Digital Media, earning her dozens of media placements throughout the United States. Once again, let us congratulate Dr. Ferrier. The next KCA Catalyst Award is presented to Dr. Cherie Thompson. Dr. Thompson. An assistant professor in the Scripps College of Communications School of Communication Studies, Dr. Thompson specializes in interpersonal and family communication. She focuses on how individuals talk about health and relationships. Her areas of expertise include young people and health issues, and one of her most recent areas of research is focused on college drinking. In 2016, Dr. Thompson was featured in 86 media reports, the 8th highest number of media placements among all faculty newsmakers. Nearly all of those media placements were related to a study entitled The Role of Communication Competence in Buffering Against the Negative Effects of Alcohol-Related Social Networking Site Usage. Dr. Thompson served as the lead author on that study, which found that social media usage may help in identifying young people at risk for alcohol-related problems. Media reports on this study were featured in newspapers as well as science and medical publications around the world. Please join me once again in congratulating Dr. Thompson. The next KCA award goes to Dr. Thomas Suddes. Dr. Suddes. Dr. Suddes is an assistant professor in the Scripps College of Communication, E.W. Scripps School of Journalism.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Dr. Nellis, how are you? Good to see you again. Thank you so much.
Dr. Suddes is an assistant professor in the Scripps College of Communications, E.W. Scripps School of Journalism, and coordinator of the school's State House News Bureau Fellowships. Dr. Suddes brings an impressive resume in the field of journalism to our campus, having served as an editorial writer, a State House reporter, and a chief legislative correspondent. Just to note some of the many highlights in his more than 40-year career. In addition to lending his expertise to students enrolled in our esteemed School of Journalism, Dr. Suddes also serves as a newspaper columnist as well as an associate editor and member of the editorial board for the Cleveland Plain Dealer Northeast Ohio Media Group. Dr. Suddes in 2016 was featured in 101 media placements, the 7th highest number among all of OU's faculty media placements. Almost all of Dr. Suddes' media placement came from the nearly weekly columns he pens for the Columbus Dispatch and the Dayton Daily News. His 2016 columns covered everything from Ohio's U.S. Senate race and the presidential election to the issue of medical marijuana in Ohio and the loss of Ohio icons George Voinovich, our own George Voinovich, and John Glenn. And let me just say that Dr. Suddes' column in the Sunday Dispatch is one of the first things I read. It's a tremendous, tremendous column, filled with insight and wisdom. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Suddes. Okay, thank you. The next Keystroke Catalyst is presented to Ian Klein. Ian Klein could not be with us tonight. An Ohio University alumnus, Ian Klein is a lecturer of human anatomy and physiology in the College of Arts and Sciences Department of Biological Sciences. Mr. Klein was featured in 164 media reports in 2016, the 6th highest number of media placements amongst all faculty media placements. He was quoted in an April 2016 article in the Washington Post titled Rethinking Rehab. The article focused on how treatment for injuries sustained by athletes and those leading an active lifestyle had changed based on research that found that the old standard of rest, icing, compression, and elevation, the old-fashioned rice, was not that effective and did not address underlying issues. It actually never worked for me. I'm not surprised he found this out. Today, doctors are advocating that athletes of all fitness levels stay as active as possible while rehabbing from an injury. Mr. Klein was one of several experts quoted in the article that was published in newspapers throughout the United States, from the Chicago Tribune to the Orlando Sentinel. Let's congratulate Ian Klein. The next KCA award is presented to Dr. Kevin Mattson from the Department of History, who could not be with us here tonight. He's the Connors Study Professor of Contemporary History in the College of Arts and Sciences. Dr. Mattson is an American historian whose areas of expertise include elections, politics, political campaigns, and political history. He studies political ideologies and past presidents with a specific focus on Jimmy Carter and Richard Nixon. Dr. Mattson was quoted in 3 articles in 2016 that were featured in 192 media reports, the 5th highest number of media placements among our faculty. An article in USA Today entitled 5 Reasons Why U.S. Politics is Always Crazy was published in dozens of newspapers throughout the country, as well as a New York Times article comparing rhetoric at the Republican National Convention to the tone and themes of President Nixon's 1968 convention speech. In addition, an article written by the Associated Press just 3 days before the presidential election entitled Honesty RIP, Facts Are Taking a Beating in the United States. It was published in several of the nation's largest newspapers, including the New York Times and the Houston Chronicle, as well as media outlets in the UK, Australia, India, Japan, and more. Let's congratulate Dr. Mattson. The next KCA award goes to Dr. David Ridpath. Dr. Ridpath. An associate professor and a Candace Nandola Professor of Sports Administration at the College of Business. Dr. Ridpath's areas of expertise include academic integrity, sports governance, sports law, and sports marketing. His research and practical experience have made him a sought-after source for journalists throughout the country and around the world, reporting on the NCAA and all manner of intercollegiate athletic issues. In 2016, Dr. Ridpath was featured in 230 media reports, earning him the 4th highest number of media placements among Ohio faculty. He's featured in dozens of articles related to the issues facing college athletics in publications that include the LA Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Dallas Morning News, Forbes, the Chronicle of Higher Education, and Inside Higher Ed. One of those articles featuring Dr. Ridpath appeared in approximately 150 print, online, television, and radio and news reports written by the Associated Press. The article detailed a first-of-its-kind study that examined approximately 50 years' worth of data on NCAA violations and found that 83% of those violations involved football and basketball. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Ridpath. The next KCA award goes to Dr. Nicholas Kersey. Unfortunately, Dr. Kersey was able to be here tonight, but his colleague, Dr. Trube, is here to accept his award. Dr. Trube, would you come forward, please? Nice to see you.
How are you doing?
Oh, Bill, congratulations. Out of nowhere is Dr. Trube. An associate professor at Ohio University's Chillicothe campus, associate professor of political science at Ohio University's Chillicothe campus, Dr. Kersey's work focuses on the placement of subjectivity and crisis in the production and reproduction of political power. Dr. Kersey was featured in a September 17, 2016 Associated Press article entitled Measuring Occupy Wall Street's Impact 5 Years Later. That article was picked up by 275 media outlets throughout the country and around the world, earning Dr. Kersey the 3rd highest number of media placements among the faculty. His article recounts the grassroots Occupy Wall Street movement that began in September 2011, and it created awareness about the growing rate of income inequality in the United States. The article argues this likely gave rise to both Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. Among the media outlets that published the article were U.S. News and World Report, ABC News, the New York Times, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and the Chicago Tribune, as well as other news organizations in countries that include Canada, Australia, Japan, Afghanistan, and Zimbabwe. Let's congratulate Dr. Kersey. The next KCA award is presented to Dr. Damian Nance. Let's give it up for Dr. Nance. There you are. Dr. Nance and I have been here so long, we actually remember O'Hooley's.
I'd like to see you put some positive spin on this one.
The Kennedy Distinguished Professor of Geological Sciences in the College of Arts and Sciences, Dr. Nance's areas of expertise include climate change, continents and supercontinents, land formations, and plate tectonics. A brilliant scientist, Dr. Nance and colleague are credited with what peers have described as one of the most important revelations of our time, that the course of Earth's history has been governed by the formation, breakup, and reformation of supercontinents. Dr. Nance does not stand before us tonight for anything that having to do with that groundbreaking theory. He is on stage for what will be one of the most feel-good moments of this evening. Let me just read you a few of the headlines that Dr. Nance made in 2016. Professor shows he has class. College bro skips class to go to World Series game. Professor calls him out, but is a total bro about it. It's good to be a bro, I guess. The world's best professor let a student skip class for the World Series. I knew I liked you. I knew I liked you. We honor Dr. Nance tonight, not for his research, but for the kindness and understanding that he showed one of his students. When word got out that Dr. Nance had excused the student's absence from class because that student had tickets to Game 1 of the World Series between the Cleveland Indians and Chicago Cubs, print, online, TV, and radio journalists gravitated toward the story. Articles on this act of kindness were featured in 408 news reports throughout the U.S. and beyond, the second highest number of media placements in 2016. So that's what it takes to be a distinguished professor, huh? Among the news organizations that reported on this were Sports Illustrated, Fox News, the Associated Press, Yahoo News, ABC News, Stars and Stripes, the Washington Post. It even made it in the weird but true section in the New York Post. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Damian Nance. And now the moment we've all been waiting for. The final KCA award of this evening and top honors at this year's Faculty Newsmaker Gala goes to Dr. Kathy Jellison. You're all right after all. A professor of history and chair of the college's Arts and Sciences Department of History, Dr. Jellison's area of expertise include contemporary U.S. politics, elections, first ladies of the United States, and women and gender in politics. A scholar of women's studies, Dr. Jellison devotes her research on various topics in her field, including women's suffrage and first lady studies. Given the increasing presence of women in higher levels of government, Dr. Jellison's expertise is increasingly sought out by journalists in our local community and state, as well as throughout our country and the world. In 2016, Dr. Jellison was quoted in 1,031 media placements. The most among all Ohio University faculty newsmakers. While some of those media placements were related to research that Dr. Jellison has conducted on U.S. marriage and wedding customs, the vast majority related to the various women who played important roles in the 2016 presidential election, including Hillary Clinton, Michelle Obama, Melania, and Ivanka Trump. The articles picked up by the largest number of news organizations came both during the Republican and Democratic national conventions when Melania Trump, whose voice had been rarely heard by voters before, stepped into the spotlight. Also, when former President Bill Clinton spoke about, quote, his girl. And when then First Lady Michelle Obama emerged as one of Hillary Clinton's most influential surrogates. Post-election articles featuring Dr. Jellison that gained a significant amount of media attention focused on Melania Trump's decision to stay in New York City after the inauguration, as well as the possible role that the first daughter, Ivanka Trump, would play in her father's presidency. Among the news organizations featuring Dr. Jellison were NPR, MSN News, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Boston Globe, USA Today, the Christian Science Monitor, the Miami Herald, the Associated Press, U.S. News and World Report. Her expertise made headlines in countries around the globe, including the UK, Australia, Taiwan, India, Indonesia, Japan, China, and Qatar. Whew. Let's congratulate Dr. Jellison. What do you think?
So I asked her to stay because she's number one. At this time, I'd like to lead us in a toast to our newsmakers. And behind me, what you're going to see is a listing of all 381 of our 2016 newsmakers. Let's give everybody a hand. Now, before we go and get the champagne, and there is a non-alcoholic alternative, before we do that, I just wanted to say that I have to not leave this stage without acknowledging a group that is very near and dear to me, not only because they help me look okay, hopefully I look pretty good, thank you. But they also are the ones responsible for making this happen tonight. And I think they did a pretty good job, don't you think? Yes. University Communications and Marketing staff, would you guys please stand? They're the folks with the green name tags and the ones who greeted you when you checked in. They were the folks who actually made up the fantastic team that I've been able to serve for these 9 years. I am so pleased and proud of all of our newsmakers. And I know you want to see that scrolling, but what I'd really like for you to do is to get out of your seats. There's some champagne glasses behind you that have champagne and a bubbly non-alcoholic, which I'm calling champagne alternative. Go ahead and grab a glass. And if you are a KCA winner, I'm going to ask you to join me either on stage and when we fill it up right in front of the stage, because we're going to take a picture with all of you. With your glasses. So your glasses are going to be at that table right there. Okay? So once everyone has been served and we've toasted our newsmakers, I want to get a picture of all of our newsmakers. So don't bolt out of here when you've had your sip of champagne. I think it's important for us to raise a glass to toast the hard work of our newsmakers and what they've accomplished in their fields of expertise in 2016. Once you have your glass, please pause until everyone has their glass, and we're going to toast and be served at the same time. This is the portion of the program where I just make small talk while everybody gets their champagne or their champagne alternative. If you have a question of which is the champagne and which is the juice, a server there can help you. Yes, the KCA award winners, yes. I also just want to let you know that it doesn't feel awkward at all for me to stand here and not have very much to say. I'm just trying to fill the time while everybody gets their champagne. I hope that all of you all have enjoyed the meeting just as immensely as I have tonight. And I continue to be awed at the talent and expertise we have within our university. Once I see that everyone has been served and all of our KCA winners have joined us on the stage or in front of the stage, we'll have our toast. I need you to come on stage, please. They don't. That's okay. Just come on up. Hello. I'm kind of jealous that you are able to do that.
Bring down the entire stage.
You're fine. As we pause to raise a glass to our newsmakers, I also want to take the time and recognize and say thank you to all of the spouses and partners and colleagues and deans and campus communicators, all of those that are here supporting the newsmakers tonight. Your contributions are not forgotten and are much appreciated. I still see people at the table, so I'm going to make a little bit more small talk, and I still don't feel awkward. This is actually the easiest thing I've done all day.
Karen, get your.
If you're not a member of our Faculty Experts Directory and you're interested in becoming a member, there was some information in the envelope that you received that tells you how to contact our department and how to become a faculty expert, become a part of that directory. Thank you, Renee. Has everyone been served? Can you just raise your glass just for a bit? Okay, so my toast is a little long, so I don't want you to hold your arm until I'm ready to give you the cheer sign. I had somebody on my team tell me that my toast was making their arm tired. So, to you, Ohio University's faculty newsmakers, I salute you for your dedication and for your support. Your efforts are continuing to underscore to the media here and abroad what we already know. Ohio University is the place where our faculty provide access to academic excellence and innovation every day to the benefit of our students, our region, our nation, and our world. Cheers. And the hands that prepared it. Will all of tonight's faculty newsmakers join us down front? We want to get a picture. I'm sorry. As you go to the back to drop your glass, if you are a faculty newsmaker, I need you to duck behind the black curtain, and the photographer wants to take your picture. So please do not leave after you drop your glass, and also drop your lanyards. We're trying to be green and we want to reuse these. Join the photographer in the back for a photo. Thank you for coming.
So do we